Today, January the 17th, 2025, we are 3 days away from the inauguration of Donald Trump, the swearing in as the president of the United States. And we're hearing that changes are currently underway. And this we're hearing is due to the weather because there is freezing temperatures coming. Now, if you haven't already made preparations, you're going to want to do so because we have heard that this is going to be impacting the vast majority of the United States. You're going to be hit with some pretty severe cold weather. As take a look at the latest headlines with me. You can see here Trump swearing in will move inside the Capitol Rotunda because of intense cold weather. Also, take a look. Weather warning as life-threatening polar vortex will engulf parts of the United States with Siberian air. There's no escaping this, and we're hearing that. I think it was 15 it says on here, but I read yesterday 20 states are going to go below freezing. Weather warnings, alerts across the United States is going to be well below what we're normally used to. It says Trump's inauguration will be the coldest in decades. Now, they're actually saying it's the coldest that we've seen since Ronald Reagan back in 1985. So they are saying to hunker down and get ready for this. The coldest weather we've seen in roughly 40 years is about to take place. And if I remember correctly, I think the article that we read yesterday said that Reagan's inauguration was 7 degrees Fahrenheit. They're anticipating Donald Trump's is going to be 10 degrees, and now they've moved it inside. And actually, we're hearing that this might be a good thing because if you missed it yesterday, I shared with you, take a look. Trump inauguration, a target for violence. Officials have warned, according to a report, as they have said that there is a lot of potential for attacks against Donald Trump on Inauguration Day. They are saying that they are on high alert right now because of all the potential threats that currently are facing Donald Trump. As we've already seen assassination attempts take place, and now we're hearing that there are likely more on the way, and we've heard the warnings about Inauguration Day attacks, as before we had heard the warnings on New Year's Day, and now they're saying they're anticipating the exact same thing taking place yet again on Inauguration Day. However, they're saying that this is going to be moving indoors now because of the freezing cold weather from the polar vortex. This is going to be forcing things indoors. So this might actually be a good thing for Donald Trump. Let me know your thoughts. If you agree, if you think this is a good thing to have it indoors, put a 1. If you think no, it's not necessary, put a 2. Let me know your thoughts in regards to safety. Now, in regards to the freezing weather, I think that's a pretty good idea. It's going to be pretty cold out there if you are being inaugurated in 10 degrees Fahrenheit weather. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, in addition to that, before we dive in, do me a favor. If you appreciate the updates, letting you know about these changes that are going to be taking place as we are 3 days away from Inauguration Day, take a second, hit that like button for me. Help spread this out further so more people can get the updates. In addition to that, all of these articles are going to be linked down in the description below. I cite all the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it, so that way you can see it and know that it is the latest. We are 3 days away from Inauguration Day, and to stay up to date and to see that live as we cover it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. I'll keep you up to speed on everything so you know exactly what is going on. And also, in addition to that, linked down below are not only the articles, but also resources. And a lot of people have been asking me lately about food. Steve, what do you recommend for food? Well, what I've been stocking up on and getting ready for is just the ReadyWise buckets. So just every now and then, you got to get some buckets, 60 servings for ReadyWise. There's just an Amazon link down below. You can check it out. You can also get them at Costco, I think, and they're about the same price. That's where we were getting them at. I don't know if your local Costco has them, but I know that ours does. And it's about the same price. So you can get it at Costco if you got a membership, maybe save like $10, or you can get it on Amazon. It's almost the same price. So if you are looking for various different meals, 60 servings, I think, in one bucket, I've linked that down below for those people that have been asking about food, wanting to make sure that they've got food that will last for long periods of time, rather than buying all these individual cans and different things and having bags, you know, with rice and things like that. You can get Weevils, but you can just go ahead and get this bucket, and it's supposed to be for preppers that are getting ready for, you know, long periods of time where you're not able to go to the grocery store and you can have food supplies ready. So I know a lot of people asking about that. That is linked down below, along with those iodide potassium tablets as well. Those are really simple and affordable. It's like $15. Just to clarify, the buckets, they're a little bit more pricey, but I mean, keep in mind, it gives you 60 servings of food. I think it's about $110, $100 around there. But those are available for those that have been asking about that. You and your new settings are looking good, says Marla. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've got a new setup going on here. Hopefully, it sounds and looks okay. Just trying to make sure that I can get people the latest information and keep everything updated for you guys and looking good. So appreciate that. And if you appreciate the content, hit that like button. But let's go ahead and get right to it, get you caught up on the latest so that way you know exactly what is going on right now, as we are seeing some last minute changes for Inauguration Day that are going to be coming here in just 3 days. So let's go ahead and take a look at this here. You can see Trump swearing in will move inside the Capitol Rotunda because of intense cold weather. So they are moving this inside now because of the freezing cold. Now, this article coming out today, you can see January the 17th, 2025, says that President-elect Donald Trump will take the oath of office from inside the Capitol Rotunda on Monday due to the forecasts of the intense cold weather. And again, I'm going to be covering for you about the polar vortex that's going to be hitting. We are hearing this is going to start Sunday. So if you have not yet winterized your homes and you are going to get hit, get this done this weekend. Before Sunday, we're hearing that that is when the freeze is about to hit. The weather forecast for Washington, D.C., with the wind chill factor, could take temperatures into severe record lows. Trump posted on Truth Social's platform, "There is an Arctic blast sweeping the country. I don't want to see people hurt or injured in any way." The Rotunda is prepared as an alternative for each inauguration in the event of inclement weather. The swearing in was last moved indoors back in 1985 when President Ronald Reagan began his second term. Monday's forecast calls for the lowest Inauguration Day temperature since that day. Outgoing President Joe Biden, members of Congress, and other dignitaries and notable guests, they will be able to view the ceremony from inside of the Capitol. Alternative plans are required for the more than roughly 250,000 guests ticketed to view the inauguration from around the Capitol grounds, and the tens of thousands more expected to be in general admission areas or to line the inaugural parade route from the Capitol to the White House. Trump said that some supporters would be able to watch the ceremony from Washington's Capital One Arena on Monday, a day after he plans to hold a rally there. He said he would visit the arena, which has a capacity of about 20,000 people, after his swearing in and host a modified inaugural parade there. Trump said other inaugural events, including the Sunday rally and his participation in 3 official inaugural balls on Monday night, would take place as scheduled. The National Weather Service is predicting the temperatures to be around 22 degrees -6 Celsius at noon during the swearing in. The coldest since Reagan's second inauguration temperature plunged to 7 degrees. Okay, so excuse me, I thought it was 10. They're saying it's 22, but Reagan's was 7 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, Barack Obama's 2009 swearing in was 28 degrees -2 Celsius. The Joint Congressional Committee of Inaugural Ceremonies will honor the request of the president-elect and his Presidential Inauguration Committee to move the 60th inaugural ceremonies inside the U.S. Capitol to the Rotunda, a spokesperson said on Friday. So there you have it. We're hearing that this is going to be moving indoors, and we're hearing that this could be a good thing for Donald Trump regarding safety. Now, we're going to be looking at that here in just a second. But first, let's go ahead and cover this weather warning for you guys. Weather warning as life-threatening polar vortex will engulf parts of the United States with Siberian air. There is no escaping this, and this being updated coming out today. Dozens of U.S. states will endure the lowest temperatures that they have felt in years as a polar vortex brings life-threatening cold next week. The National Weather Service said that much of the lower 48 should brace for the coldest air mass of the season to date from Friday to January 24th. So actually, they're saying from today going into next week. So over the course of the next week, they're saying this is going to get seriously cold. Again, they said life-threatening temperatures. This is going to be plunging down seriously. So again, winterize your home. If you're in a location that is not made for winterization, leave the water faucets on drips, I've heard. Open up the cabinets, especially if they are alongside exterior-facing walls. You might even want to turn the water off if you can. There's various different things I know people do here in Houston when we get, experience these freezing temperatures. make sure you take care of your properties, get everything winterized. You can go ahead and put blankets or sheets over those plants if you're afraid they're going to freeze and die. Meteorologists predict temperatures could plunge up to 45 degrees below the average, engulfing at least 20 states across the plains, the Great Lakes, and the interior Northeast into below zero temperatures. States in the polar vortex path include Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, the Dakotas, Montana, and Wyoming. Parts of Massachusetts, Connecticut, Virginia, North Carolina, Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Colorado, Nebraska, Utah, and Idaho could also experience below zero temperatures. Washington, D.C. is set to see highs only in the 20s, moving President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration indoors, the first time that this has happened in 40 years. Wind gusts of up to 30 miles per hour will blast through the layers of hundreds of thousands of MAGA enthusiasts expected to fill the National Mall on Monday. This poses a great risk of hypothermia and frostbite to exposed skin. Have a cold weather survival kit if traveling, the NWS has warned. And here you can see Siberian air invades the east through Wednesday, January 22nd. Surface air at least 1,500 feet, air at 5,000 feet, and you can see it sweeping across the U.S. And they're saying this is going to be impacting roughly all 48 of the contiguous United States. Pretty much the entire continent, they're saying, is likely going to be hit. But it says dozens of U.S. states will endure the lowest temperatures that they have felt in years next week as a polar vortex brings life-threatening cold. The polar vortex is bringing freezing air from Siberia into the United States. Here's another map outlook of it. You can see it just kind of pouring down across the U.S. You can see as far down as where I'm at here in Houston, getting down to 30 degrees. Not quite freezing here, but it's going to be pretty cold. The Rockies, the Northern Plains, and the upper Midwest should see minimum wind chills of negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit or colder Saturday into Tuesday. The temperatures will also likely freeze and burst pipes and significantly strain the power grids as people scramble to heat their homes. Snow and slippery roads are also set to hit the mid-Atlantic and Northeast on Sunday, with a wintry mix potentially in the deep South early next week. All states in the lower 48 and more than 80% of residents will see below freezing temperatures. This would be one of the coldest outbreaks, certainly of the past 10-15 years, said winter weather expert Judah Cohen of Atmospheric Environmental Research. It's pulling air out of Siberia. And, that's consistent with these stretches because when the polar vortex stretches, the flow starts in Siberia and it ends in the United States. The Rockies, the Northern Plains, the upper Midwest, they should see minimum wind chills of negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit or colder on Saturday into Tuesday, according to the NWS. Even states along the Gulf Coast and the southern border will see temperatures drop to 10 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit below average. Only South Florida will be spared from the bitter cold. So if you're a snowbird, you like to escape down to the south, there's no escaping this. Everyone will feel it. So they are saying that this is going to be hitting the entire United States. So be ready, get winterized. All told, more than 300 million Americans will be experiencing below average temperatures by Monday, according to a Fox report. But with the wind chill, some parts of the country could experience what feels like temperatures as low as negative 50 degrees by Monday morning. Wow. Cities that are not accustomed to such low temperatures, they should prepare for the life-threatening impact of the cold, Merwin said. For example, temperatures in Asheville, North Carolina could sink into the low to mid-teens from Monday to Thursday next week. On Monday morning, Atlanta, Georgia may also experience temperatures in the teens. People in parts of western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee will particularly be vulnerable as many remain without proper homes after the devastation of Hurricane Helene. Now, people spending extended periods of time outdoor this weekend should watch for signs of hypothermia, which includes shivering, slurred speech, slow and shallow breath, weak pulse, clumsiness, confusion, and loss of conscientiousness. Now, in infants, look out for bright red, cold skin and very low energy. No one should venture outside with exposed skin, as this severe cold could lead to frostbite in as little as 15 minutes. And then here's a little chart understanding the polar vortex, what's going to be coming here. They're saying potentially today, but I heard the vast majority of it is going to be hitting on Sunday. They said Sunday through Tuesday, and then also all the way through next Friday. So starting now till next week, Friday, they're saying expect extremely low cold temperatures. And here you can see the disrupted polar vortex, stable polar vortex. So we are experiencing a disruption that is reaching down throughout the United States. Even the northern cities are preparing chilly weather. In New York City, emergency officials declared a code blue on Thursday. This type of warning is issued when the temperature or wind chill is expected to drop to 30 degrees Fahrenheit overnight, drop to 32 degrees. Outreach teams will canvass all 5 boroughs to connect our most vulnerable New Yorkers to shelter, New York City Emergency Management stated on a post on X. This blast of frigid temperatures will be delivered by the polar vortex, a large area of low pressure and cold air that swirls counterclockwise around the North Pole. Typically, its swirling keeps it close to the North Pole, but often during winter, the polar vortex will expand further south and cause outbreaks of cold temperature. This particular outbreak will be one of the most far-reaching of this season so far, the NWS meteorologist Zach Taylor told NPR. It doesn't look like temperatures will warm up anytime soon, as meteorologists expect the overall weather pattern to remain favorable for more Arctic outbreaks throughout the end of January. So there you have it. They are saying be prepared, be ready for some pretty severe cold temperatures. Now, also, like I said, Trump's inauguration day, they're saying, will be the coldest in decades. When Trump is sworn in at noon, the temperature will be around 18 to 19 degrees. So they're moving him indoors. Now, let me know your thoughts. Do you think that there is some serious potential for attacks, threats against Donald Trump as he is entering into office? Again, if you think so, put a 1. If you think no, put a 2. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that there is potential plans to assassinate Donald Trump on Inauguration Day? We are hearing these warnings, and we're hearing that him moving indoors, this actually might be a good thing with all of the threats that are coming out. Now, take a look at this. And actually, I want to say that I heard yesterday that I believe it was Dan Bongino. They said that he was predicting there actually potentially could be a drone attack against Donald Trump on Inauguration Day. That is what he's predicting. And I don't know the details of it. Let me know if you know the details of it, if you've heard this. But they said that he actually predicted that there was going to be assassination attempts on Donald Trump as well before they happened. And he was accurate, just saying, hey, this is a very tense situation right now, and there likely could be people that want to do harm to him. And we actually just heard from the FBI right now that one of the greatest threats against the United States, especially after what we saw with New Orleans and Las Vegas, is the lone wolf actor. They're saying individuals that are inspired by maybe ISIS or other groups, and they're just taking it upon themselves, not telling anybody to commit these acts of violence. They're saying those particular people, if they're not sharing it on social media, if they're not a part of any groups that are advocating this, it is hard to track them and to know when they're going to be striking. So they are watching for lone wolf actors, saying that this is the greatest threat. And like I said, we had received those warnings before, that there potentially could be attacks on New Year's Day. Now we're receiving warnings of potential attacks on Inauguration Day or leading up to it. So a lot of people are saying that this could be a good thing, that we're having this freezing weather. Move them indoors, have it a little bit safer for Donald Trump. Now, in addition to that, if you haven't done so yet, let's go ahead and take a look at this article. But before we do me a favor, hit that like button. Helps spread this out further so more people can get the latest updates. But let's take a look at this article that's going to be warning about the threats that are currently posed to Donald Trump. As it says, Trump inauguration a target for violence, officials warn in a report. Now, you can see this article came out yesterday, and it says a threat assessment compiled by U.S. national security agencies warns that President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration will be an attractive potential target for violent threats. However, U.S. national security agencies have not yet revealed any specific credible threats at this time. However, as I mentioned, we've been hearing the warnings coming out that there could be acts of violence on this day. Politico reported that the threat assessment, which has not yet been publicly released, warns that individuals with election-related grievances may view Trump's inauguration as their opportunity to influence the election results through violence. John Cohen, who previously worked as a counterterrorism official and helped plan security for President Joe Biden's inauguration, told Politico, as somebody who was involved in the planning of the last inauguration, the threat environment was dangerous. As I sit here today, based on the work that I've been doing with law enforcement for the past 4 years, the threat environment today is even more volatile and more dangerous than it was back in 2021. Now, according to Politico, law enforcement officials are on high alert for the upcoming event following 2 assassination attempts against Trump during the 2024 presidential campaign. The recent New Orleans attack as well, and the recent Las Vegas attack. Now, Politico noted that the threat assessment, which was put together by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI, the U.S. Capitol Police, the U.S. Secret Service, the Supreme Court's Police Department, and the Washington, D.C. government, outlined multiple violent incidents that could threaten Trump's inauguration, including domestic extremists, foreign attacks, lone wolf actors engaging in bomb hoaxes, vehicle ramming attacks like we saw in New Orleans, drone flights, which we heard from Dan Bongino, and swatting calls as well. So they are going through the list of all of these potential threats that could be disrupting the inauguration on January 20th. They're taking them all into consideration at this time. Now, the threat assessment also warned of potential violence inspired by Iran. According to Politico, law enforcement officials noted that 700,000 Telegram users threatened to assassinate the president-elect just 1 day after the 2024 election in response to a video shared by an organization linked to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Wow, that is a lot of threats of assassinations. Now, in addition to these threats, law enforcement officials have also warned that protests could lead to violence at Trump's inauguration, pointing to groups that have already applied for demonstration permits. The threat assessment stated past protests by some of these individuals have involved traffic blockades, trespassing, property destruction, and resisting arrest. During a Monday press conference, Metropolitan Police Department Chief Pamela Smith confirmed that the police department will be reinforced with roughly 4,000 police officers for Trump's inauguration. Special agent in charge for the Secret Service's Washington field office, Matt McCool, noted that there will be roughly 25,000 military personnel and law enforcement officials on Monday's inauguration. Addressing the increased security measures, Cohen told Politico, "You're going to see a much more visible and expanded security presence to include physical security barriers, street closures, uniformed law enforcement deployed, undercover assets being deployed, as well as National Guard members at key places as well." Man, so they are loading up, they are preparing for the potential threats. There you saw the list of them. Now, in addition to that, as I mentioned, we are still waiting to see potentially what could happen. Hopefully they're going to be able to, block any of these things from happening. But we have heard the warnings coming out. We had heard Marjorie Taylor Greene say that her flight was disrupted because there were drones that were flying over the Capitol. And we are now hearing Dan Bongino warning about drone attacks. And I think it was just yesterday as well. It was reported, I heard that there had just been an interview with Tucker Carlson. Now, let me know if you have heard of this in the comments. Put a 3 if you have, put a 4 if you haven't. He is saying that he has received some leaked information. Somebody from, higher up let him know that they are saying that the drones are from China, that they are just like the balloons, the spy balloons, and that they are actually being controlled by some sort of satellite. And the United States took out that satellite to disrupt the drones. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. This is yet another rumor that's being spread around, but this comes as we're also hearing Dan Bongino coming out and saying that we need to be concerned about all of these drones and a potential threat or attack that could take place against Donald Trump. So again, if you have heard of this, put a 3. If you haven't, put a 4. So I'm seeing a lot of people putting 4s in the comments saying, no, they had no idea. Yeah, this just kind of coming out in the past couple of days. But we will see, because we still do not have an answer to the drones or the potential threats of attacks, or if they pose a threat. Now, at this time, the United States, the military, the Biden administration, the government, they're all saying they don't believe they pose any form of threat. Yet at the same time, they're saying they don't belong to the United States. Foreign adversaries, they don't have any information on them. So What are we to believe? Well, we're hearing that Donald Trump is saying that after he is inaugurated, sworn in as the president of the United States on January 20th, then on January 21st, he's going to be releasing a full report on what we know about the drones so that way people can be informed as to what is going on. So that is one thing that we are waiting on, and that is a potential threat to the president-elect at this time. So there is the drones. There's also potential lone wolf actors. There are sleeper cells. We also have global conflict. We heard that Xi Jinping was actually invited to the inauguration, and he said no because he said it was too dangerous. There was too great of a threat at this time for him to attend in person. So apparently he sent one of his diplomats, but he said that he is not going to be attending. So, man, let me know your thoughts in the comments. He said, thank you, but no thank you. I will not be attending. That is far too dangerous for me, the president of China, to be attending at this time. So we will see, but I will keep you guys up to speed every step of the way, let you know what's going on. In addition to that, if you want to watch the inauguration, I'm planning on live streaming it. So be sure to join me here Monday. I believe it is at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, if I remember correctly. We will be live streaming the inauguration so you can see Donald Trump being sworn into office as the 47th president of the United States. He is going to be inside the Capitol Rotunda due to weather. And for yourself, we're hearing all 48 contiguous U.S. states are going to be hit with much lower than normal freezing weather for a majority of the states. So if you have not done so yet, make sure that you are prepared, you are warm, you are safe. And again, additional resources linked down below if you'd like to get some in preparations for whatever could potentially be coming. But that is the latest, you guys. Like I said, I will keep you up to speed on everything. Thank you so much for joining me. We are seeing that the inauguration is getting an audible, but it is still on track to happen on the 20th. And I'll keep you up to date on everything. That is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me.